everyone, Niev here, and we are on the next video of the Pacific Northwest Tarot deep dive study. That's what we're doing. So today we are doing the 7s and the 8s, I believe. So this is the bag that I keep the deck in, and here is a beautiful deck. All right, so and I think I already put everything on top of the cards. We got the handy book here to go through. All right, so the 7s and the 8s, and we have, so the 7 of Wands, the 7 of Cups, the 7 of Swords, and the 7 of Pentacles. I hope I'm in frame. It looks like that I am. All right, and then we can do the 8 of Wands, the 8 of Cups, the 8 of Swords, and the 8 of Pentacles. All right, so let's do the 7s first here. All right, so the 7s. All right, so 7 is kind of a number of kind of reflection. Well, that really shows here, reflection, but so it's kind of looking over things, sort of an investigation, or there's a defensiveness to it, especially with the 7 of Wands. 7 of Wands is really standing your ground, being defensive. The 7 of Cups is very much a indecisiveness, because it's kind of an over investigation of everything we have, and maybe looking into things a little too deeply, that we end up getting overwhelmed with all the choices we have. And the 7 of Swords has that more I guess deviousness to the investigation or looking into things sort of energy, because the 7 of Swords has more to do with a stealthiness and taking from others, or stealing or thievery, things like that, where, yeah, and then the 7 of Pentacles is a stepping back and reflecting on what we've done, and investigating the fruits of our labor and things like that. So yeah, and with the 7 of Wands, I think a lot of people sort of confuse the 7 of Wands and the 9 of Wands, because they kind of have a similar energy, whereas the 9 of Wands is more of a wounded warrior. It was just beaten down, and now it's got to sort of, you know, get back up. Whereas the 7 of Wands is kind of before that. It's before, you know, taking a beating, or, you know, doing the beating. And I don't mean beating like literally, but, you know, but it's kind of before that point where it's kind of a stubbornness, but it's a defensiveness, which could be good or bad, depending on the circumstance. Sometimes we want to be that stand our ground, defensive position where we're standing up for what we believe in. And then the downside to that is kind of a defensiveness, being overly defensive. And like I said, the 7 of Cups is more of there's a dream, there's really, it's kind of being over encumbered by choices, and we've got a lot of choices. There's an indecisiveness, and with this picture, we're really seeing that everything's sort of murky, because we're seeing this from the perspective of being underwater. So we see all these choices here. We see the dragonfly trying to choose which cup it wants, but we're not seeing a lot of things clearly. We're just seeing, you know, that grounded energy of the lily pad just sitting on the water. We're seeing that clearly. We're seeing the grounded energy clearly, but we're sort of murky on what the other choices are, or there are too many choices. So yeah, I think investigation is a pretty good keyword for 7s in general. Yeah, and reflection, like both of these cards, the Cups and the Pentacles, I see as a reflection. whereas the wands and the swords are a bit more, I wouldn't say negative. Maybe the seven swords a little bit. Maybe there's, you know, there's this taking energy with the seven of swords, or a, yeah, I'm trying to figure out the phrasing here. But you know what? Let's look at the books and see what we got here. And also, I love the Seven of Swords here because this really makes me think of Joanna from The Rescuers Down Under. But yeah, that's me being a 90s kid there. I'm an older millennial or a zennial. All right, so the Seven of Wands. Good. All right, so this is a mountain goat. So defending the status quo. Territoriality, protectiveness or possessiveness. And here we go. There's something that's sort of similar between these two, a possessiveness. And I think that's a good keyword for all the sevens too, possession. Because with the Seven of Wands, we're being very defensive and possessive of our territory or whatever it is. The Seven of Cups is like having a lot. There's too many choices, possessing too many choices. The Seven of Swords is possessing what maybe doesn't belong to us, or going after what isn't rightfully ours, or something like that. And then the Seven of Pentacles is stepping back and evaluating what we possess or what we've worked toward. So possession, I think, is a very good keyword for the sevens. But anyway, possessiveness, standing up for yourself. So yeah, so I think the negative there would be, well, negative, I say loosely, but would be defending the status quo. That could be a positive or a negative, that defensiveness. And then the positive, or usually positive, is standing up for yourself. But again, there's a time and place for that too. All right, so the Seven of Cups, let's see what the keywords are in the book for that. We have the Pacific fork-tailed damselfly, and it is dreams, imagination, fantasy. So that's, you know, sometimes this card is about a sort of, you know, pipe dream sort of thing, like where maybe we don't have all those choices, and that's where, you know, some of this murkiness is coming in too, and where the only clear part here is that that grounded energy, that thing that's actually rooted to the earth here. But sometimes it isn't having all those choices, but wanting more choices. So fantasy, daydreaming, illusions, choices, indecision. So I think this card does a pretty good job covering the various aspects of the Seven of Cups. All right, and then the Seven of Swords. All right, Seven of Swords, we have the Olympic short-tailed weasel. And this is cunning, trickery, sneakiness, deceit, resourcefulness. That's a positive of this, being very resourceful, being using strategy and stealth. Yes. So, you know, we often think of the Seven of Swords as being a purely negative card, but you know, there's a positive to it too. There is a level of strategy to it and resourcefulness. And this weasel here, I mean, it's not just stealing these eggs just for fun. It's stealing these eggs for food. So for nutritiousness. And yeah, so there is a sort of positive aspect to the Seven of Swords. It doesn't have to be this thievery, stealing sort of, or trickery energy. Yeah, there's multiple aspects to every card in the deck. All right, so the Seven of Pentacles is the black-tailed bumblebee. So hard work bearing fruit, harvest, results, reward, growth, success owing to planning and perseverance. So yeah, I think that does a pretty good job with that as well. All right, so let's move on to the eights. So we have the Eight of Wands. Oh, I'm upside down. Eight of Wands, Eight of Cups, oops, bumped the camera, Eight of Swords, and Eight of Pentacles, which is, Eight of Pentacles is in general my favorite card in any tarot deck, overall. I mean, it's not my favorite card in this deck in particular, but my favorite tarot card in general is the Eight of Pentacles, and 8 is my favorite number. I don't know if other people have favorite numbers, but 8 actually is a favorite number of mine, and it's a number that I experience and see throughout my life. I mean, I'm talking phone numbers, house numbers, you know, various things like that. I encounter the number 8 in a lot of ways, and there's, you know, there could be a level of coincidence to that as well. I'm not one of those people that say that there's no such thing as coincidence, because there definitely is, but in my mind. But I would say that 8 is, in general, a very important number for me, and because of that I connect more with a lot of 8 energy. So anyway, so the kind of keywords or something like that for the 8s, I sort of see it, there's a bit of a duality here, because the 8 of Wands and Cups are movement cards. I mean, 8 of Wands is, you know, a lot of movement, and whereas 8 of Cups is moving away from something. So this is moving toward, this is moving away. And then these two cards are a bit more like being stuck. And they're both a bit of your own doing. With the 8 of Swords, we get someone who is stuck in this place, this little animal here, because there's a predator off in the distance. And so they're finding this solace, and they're feeling like they're stuck right here. And I like the symbology of all the pokiness of the cactus here that's like the swords. So there's a danger staying in one place. And there's a danger of being stuck in that place, but there's also a risk and danger of moving on. So it is sort of being stuck in that place. And the 8 of Pentacles is kind of being stuck in that place. But I view this, like the 8 of Pentacles for me is more of a positive card, because I view it as being really enamored in your craft, being kind of in the zone. In the zone is one of my key phrases for the 8 of Pentacles, and I very much connect with that. But the 8 of Pentacles could also have a negative side, and it's that hard work, but it's maybe that hard work is being forced upon you, and it is being kind of stuck in that place because you're in the zone, but it's a bit different than the 8 of Swords here. And also the 8, I think, has, 8 in general, one of the key words I think a lot of people use for 8s is mastery. And I think that's most exemplified in the 8 of Pentacles, a sort of mastering of your craft. And yeah, so the 8 of Wands is a lot of like sudden news or information. Just it's a lot of action. It is just the movement is really coming in, you know, and I think that is exemplified very well here with the with this card, with all these birds just fluttering around. And I'm gonna see what the book says. Oh, I opened right to it. So 8 of Wands. So speed, action, change, swiftness, things happening too fast, chaos, progress. Change is a good one. Change is a good meaning for this. Whereas, yeah, I think change is a very good keyword for this, and I can see change in each of these cards. This is like the ultimate card of change. Like, you know, there's action here going on. It's movement and action. Whereas the Cups is sort of, it is a needed change. It is and maybe even a possible difficult change, leaving behind what served you well but doesn't serve you anymore. And we're leaving behind these, you know, 3 cups here that have turned over. They don't work for us anymore. And then there's 2 off in the distance, and that is the animal here is shedding its skin and moving on. And then change with, and this is like a lack of change. This is being stuck in that place, not changing, even though, you know, there's a risk in moving from this spot, but there's also a risk in staying. So there's a lack of change going on here. And then this is doing the hard work for that change. I mean, putting in the work to change. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. But speed, action, change, swiftness, things happening too fast. That's a good one. Chaos and progress. 8 of Cups. Let's see. So this is a northern alligator lizard. Okay, interesting. So walking away, abandonment, disappointment, leaving something behind, moving on. So yeah, I mean, I already discussed that. That is exactly right here. And I think this does a really good job displaying that. All right, so then these swords, we have the Paiute ground squirrel, the 8 of Swords here. So imprisonment, powerlessness, trapped, self-imposed restrictions and limitations, negative thoughts. So I thought that did a very good job displaying that as well. And finally, we have the 8 of Pentacles. And one of the other reasons I really like this card, particular, adding to the fact that the 8 of Pentacles is overall my favorite tarot card. This may not be my favorite card in this deck, but I like that the 8 of Pentacles is being represented by a hummingbird, because I actually have a hummingbird tattoo, and it's after a dear friend of mine who passed away many, many, many years ago. But he was a family friend, and he was kind of like a grandpa to me, a surrogate grandpa. And he used to call me his little hummingbird because, you know, I'm a very small person. I'm 4'10", but, you know, and he knew me more when I was a teenager. So he used to call me a little hummingbird because I was little and full of energy. So yeah, and so there was a connection I have with that. So I quite like personally that a hummingbird is being represented for the 8 of Pentacles here, my overall favorite tarot card. All right, so this is the Rufus hummingbird. It's about productivity, craftsmanship, dedication. I love that word for this, dedication. Repetition, practice, flow state. So repetition could be a negative with this. You know, it depends. Sometimes tasks can get very tedious. All right, so we've got all of these cards. I'm going to put this in the middle here, and now I'm going to shuffle the deck and do a 2-card reading around these center cards. Okay, I have shuffled these. I'm going to do an overhand one more time just to really get these going here. And we have the Ace of Cups, so an overabundance of emotion and being very defensive about it. And then we have the King of Cups. Okay, so wow, this is an emotional reading, I think. So I think if I were to read this, and again, there's no context to this, so I'm just sort of making this up. I would read this like there's a really intense situation going on, and there's an overflow of emotions here. There's it could be positive or sad, but since with the 7 of Wands here, I think this is something that's hitting feelings very deeply. Excuse me. And the 7 of Wands is sort of just maybe even fighting back those tears, fighting, like not accepting this emotional response, and you know, really standing your ground and trying to be very stoic and brave or something like that, and just not accepting these emotions. And then the King of Cups is sort of a mastery of those emotions, and it's, you know, and it could be someone else coming in to diffuse this and help comfort and bring a level of maturity to this, or this person who's resisting these emotions learns to accept them and to display emotions freely and in a more mature manner. And I mean, we see that with the cup overflowing here, like spilling out. Like, we've got this full cup of emotions and we're bottling them up, we're resisting them, and then this is letting them out, you know. So yeah, that's quite an emotional reading, especially with the 7 of Wands there. All right, so with the 7 of Cups, we have the 3 of Swords. Wow. Maybe there's a not, if I'm thinking just romantically, a not feeling satisfied in a relationship and feeling hurt by that, but seeing that there's plenty of fish in the sea. I don't know. And then the Chariot. Oh, yeah. And then moving towards those other possibilities. I mean, I'm just reading this purely from a, going into the relationship aspects of the Three of Swords. Yeah, maybe feeling hurt by your partner and seeking out other romantic possibilities. Something like that. That's certainly a possibility with this. Of course, we don't have to read this in a romantic sense. It was just, All right, so then we have the Seven of Swords. So we have the Fool. Ah, wow. There's lots of different ways I could read this, huh? And then the Page of Wands. Okay, I would see this as taking a risk, but taking a smart risk. I mean, being stealthy and being strategic about this, wanting to jump off and go for something, but, keeping the smarts in mind here. Keeping those smarts in mind before leaping out, and then once you've come to this strategic action, course of action, then leaping off, just like this Page of Wands here, and going for it. So there's a lot of going for it energies here. Both the Fool and the Page of Wands is like, go for it, go for it, go for it. But the Seven of Swords here is like, yeah, go for it, but be smart about it. So yeah. So it's like that, yeah, go for it, but like, look before you jump off this cliff. Look before you just go for it. Look before you leap. All right, so then we have the Seven of Pentacles. We have the Hermit. Fascinating. And the Star. So I feel like, there's a lot of, I get a lot of study information, like a study feeling from this, like we're looking into something, and there's that investigative nature of that of the sevens in general, and the Hermit is very much a studious sort of energy, often like the Hierophant in that respect, but yeah, my initial feeling here is there's a lot of study going into something and reflecting back, looking at that, and then using this guiding light, or another way we can look at this is going a bit more spiritual here, especially with the Star, because the Star is a very spiritual card, and there is a lot of introspection with the Hermit here. The Hermit is someone who is retreating, maybe doing some self-reflection, and I see that with both the Seven of Pentacles here and the Hermit, a sort of reevaluating motives. There's a meditative quality to both the Hermit and the Star, and in some respects the Seven of Pentacles. The Pentacles are a lot more practical and less spiritual, but we kind of have to meld those worlds sometimes, and there's a lot of introspection energy here, and then a renewal, and a sort of hope and optimism after having that calm, self-reflective energy here. So I would see this a lot as self-reflection, or a studying. If we're looking at it purely practical matters, I would see this as a studying sort of, and being ready for the test or something like that, if we're looking at it from that respect. But spiritually, I would say that this has a lot to do with self-reflection. That's how I would read this reading. So, all right, now the Eight of Wands. So, hurried energy, lots of news. So, 10 of Pentacles, ooh. And then we have the Tower. Ouch! Oh my goodness. So, gosh, this would be a devastating moment, I think. Like, look at these 2 trees surrounding this. So we start off in a very prosperous situation here, and it's like we were hit with a ton of bricks, and there's this barrenness now. Wow. So something devastating happened, and but hopefully we start off in this very prosperous situation here. We're starting off good. So even going through this dramatic, like, oh my gosh, situation, hopefully we still have something to lean back on, something to stand on. And that would be the hope that I would read in this reading. But my goodness, this looks like it's like we had some devastating news that that we can't really change. There's nothing we can do about it. We just have to brace ourselves and wait for the impact. Yeah, that's how I would read this. This is a pretty tough reading. Ouch. All right, so started off so great too with that 10 of Pentacles. All right, so the 8 of Cups, that moving on energy. All right, so we got, ouch. Maybe this is continuing that. We start off with this, you know, I'm not sure if I'm in frame here, but we started off so well. Devastating thing happened. We braced for impact, then we got that impact, and now we're moving forward, moving on from that. And what is that last card? The Emperor. We've grown and learned from that. So that's almost a 6-card reading, because I feel like those 2 readings, they kind of melded together there. So that we hit rock bottom. It's time to move on from that and learn from that energy, be very you know, standing up and being strong. Gosh, I want to see what get those keywords again for the Emperor. Authority, structure, discipline, control, gaining that control and focus, being pragmatic about things, protection, systems, and rules. So maybe you know, after that devastation, hitting that rock bottom, picking yourself up and moving on, gaining that perspective and that focus and control over the situation. So yeah, that's how I would read that. All right, so the 8 of Swords, being stuck in a situation. We've got that moon. We've got a lot of unknowns going on. The unknown. So that's what is that animal? I can't remember. A type of squirrel, I thought. What was this animal? A Paiute ground squirrel. So the Paiute ground squirrel has a lot of unknowns about what the future holds, and because of that, it might feel like it's stuck in that spot. Oh, and the 5, and this is an owl eating, like, wow. Especially with this tarot deck. If I saw this reading, I would say that maybe your instincts were right. And at this moment, like, a lot of times we see that 8 of Swords as being a, you know, you're stuck in this situation, but this is your own doing. Take your risk. Leave this situation, but followed by this particular image after this particular image. I would say that maybe you should stay still for a while. You know, maybe the unknowns are a bit too unknown right now, and you're right. You follow your instincts here, and yeah, stay put. So that's how I would read that. And finally, we have the 8 of Pentacles, and we have the 5 of Pentacles. So maybe working hard to get yourself out of this situation. And then the Queen of Cups. That's a very positive card, a very nurturing energy. Maybe looking to someone who embodies that nurturing energy. maybe we're working hard to get out of this situation, and we sort of need someone to be that guiding help. And I want to see what the Queen of Cups says for their keywords here. Supportive counselor, yeah, it's a supportive energy. Explorer of the subconscious, intuition, emotional maturity and wisdom, compassion, kindness, sympathy. So maybe we're working hard to get ourselves out of a difficult situation, and this work has become tedious and difficult, and we just need words of encouragement from someone. We need someone to just bring in those you know, softening words so that we can continue doing that hard work and get out of that difficult situation. It's a very, when I think of the love languages, I think of the Queen of Cups as embodying that words of affirmation. And we need that Queen of Cups there to just nudge us a little bit, just give us a pat on the back and say, you know what, you're doing great. You're working hard, you're doing great. So yeah, that's how I would read that. All right, so thanks so much for watching, everyone. Next video, we are going to do the 9s and the 10s. I will see you next time. Bye.